Hey, we're live right now, and I tell you, it feels like a hope-filled Monday with none other than Carla Jackson, founder of the Red Letter Awards. How you doing, Carla?
I am doing fabulous. And you, my brother?
I'm doing good, and I know you as bigger than life and just mega talented, but I'll never forget when you called me and you said, "Brant, we got to do something about the suicide epidemic," we know it's rampant with veterans, but it's all over the board right now, folks. And Carla, you did something about it. Tell us about it.
Well, so I had a family member uh, who committed suicide.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you this, that boy was loved. Unequivocally, he was just loved. And he also knew Christ, but he lost hope. And and that was the despair. When you lose hope, Satan comes in with the terrible D's. And when he comes in with those D's, you get devastated every time and you get desperate and you just can't find your way out sometimes. So they think the only way out is to shoot themselves or hang themselves or whatever it is that means they take pills. Um, and a lot of suicides are different. This is what I try to tell people. They're all not the same. You got veterans, but then you have bullying. And I know a lot about bullying because I was bullied, baby.
Hmm.
And church bullies are the worst. And a lot of people don't know that.
Hmm.
And so when God says do something about it, I'm like, I think you need to find somebody else because I'm tired of being the messenger.
Yeah.
Find another. And then I realized after talking to friends, I'm like, I didn't realize how many people it actually touched. And then I started looking at the age group. Do you realize it goes down to the age of 10? 10 years old. And then another friend told me, hey, don't forget about the elderly because they're suicide too. Didn't even think about them.
Wow.
So you have a 10 to 80. That's a lot of ages in there, a lot of generation of despair. And the church ain't ready for it, but we need to be ready for it. And that's why God said, create a day. And he chose Monday before I knew what Monday meant. Monday is the highest rate of suicide of the week.
Wow.
That's why it's called Hope Filled Mondays. And each Monday is going to be something different. The first Monday, it's going to be the spirit of hope. Learn what that spirit of hope is, because that's the Holy Spirit in you. The hand of hope. That's Jesus reaching down, pulling you out. The third hope is the joy. Baby, when you got joy, oh, Satan can't stand it. And then the victory of hope. That's finishing across that line, looking at Satan, saying, no, not today. A
Hmm.
victory of hope. That's what we got to be spreading.
Wow. And you are, whenever you go to Hope Filled Mondays, it's that easy. And I'm doing that right now, folks. Um, you can see what Carla's doing, and it's encouragement. You know, it's a Red
Yes.
Letter affiliate, and I love what you have on your intro on your Facebook page for Hope Filled Mondays. All hands on deck. It's time we take back Mondays from the grip of despair. Statistically, Monday is the day with the highest suicide rate. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. In the U.S. alone, 144 lives are lost to suicide every day, and we cannot remain silent or passive. And of course, you have a call to action as well. And so, go like that. Everybody go like that, please. Um, and connect with Carla as well, but people need to be encouraged. And, I've told a story a lot in the past, and that was that, there was a man that got up one day and he was going to kill himself, and he dressed all in black, you know, and I heard the story before I heard this song by Don Henley called "In a New York Minute,"
Mm.
but Harry got up, dressed all in black, went down to the station, never came back, They found his clothes scattered somewhere down the track, and he won't be on Wall Street in the morning. Well, before I heard that song, amazing song, this illustration, this man was going to dress all in black, and he was going to kill himself, and he was going to do that from a bridge. And he made it all the way to the bridge, and he told himself as he was walking over, he said, if one person gives me a reason not to kill myself, I won't do it. He
See,
made it
and that's why we have the page.
That's right. And you know what? He made it all the way to the bridge. Nobody stopped him. No one
Wow.
talked to him. And he literally got up on the concrete ledge. He's about to jump. And right about that time, a mother with her little girl in a stroller, she was holding a red balloon and she was in a stroller. And she wanted to stop and give the man, little girl, give the man her balloon. The mother said, "It's okay." And so he stepped down and grabbed the balloon and they went on, oblivious to the fact that that one gesture of
Yes.
kindness saved a life. And folks, you never know when one gesture of kindness will save a life.
And that's, what I really want to discuss
Hmm.
is bullying. And I would like to know how many people were bullied in school. You know, I was bullied, and I'm going to explain that to people. I am a burn survivor. I tilt hot water on myself when I was 3.5 years old. And that hot water went all over my face, my arm, my chest, and all the way out to the fact where my skin fell off. Now, knowing that, and this is what in California, so I don't want to get the high and mighty people. This was in Oklahoma. Okay. So most of the kids who bullied me went to church. They all went to church. That's what there's not when I went to school, there's only Christians and Catholics in Oklahoma. That's it, darling. Sorry, that's it. So they all went to church and they all went to school. And we went to school. Guess who they chose to pick at? Me. But before I had to go to school, my grandmother knew this was going to be a very hard road. So she set me down and she says, "Look, you may not have beauty. Beauty fades. Beauty gets old and wrinkled and tiresome, and you got to keep up with it, put makeup on it. You have to have surgery. You don't really want it. What you have is sexiness. That's not sex. That is confidence that
Hmm.
Christ gave you in spades. You could be 300 pounds, 200 pounds. You could have hair, no hair. You could be skinny. Have a plastic bag over you. It has nothing to do with the outside and everything to do with the inside. And God has gave you that much confidence inside of you. They cannot take it away. They cannot beat it away. It is what God has given unto you. I understand it? No. But when I went to church Sunday, some lady pulled me over and said, "You're beautiful." I said, "No, I'm not beautiful. It gets old, faded, and die. I'm sexy."
Well, I was
My
about, I think you're beautiful.
and my grandmother was like, "Oh Lord, I should have chose another word." And I'm like, "Sexy. I'm sexy. I'm sexy." She's just like, "Oh my Lord, no, my
Man.
baby is just crazy."
Well,
But to show you how cruel people
yeah.
are.
And words are powerful. Words are
And this
powerful.
is how crude they were. The word they would call me was Bernie.
Oh my gosh.
Bernie, Bernie, no one's ever gonna love you. Bernie, Bernie, you smell Bernie. Oh, baby, that was relentless.
Wow.
And then when I couldn't take it, I would turn around to them and I would look them in their eye when I get mad. I said, "No, not today, Satan." Now remember, all those kids went to school, they went to church, so they knew what that meant. So they
Oh
back
yeah.
away and go, "Oh, this she calling me Satan." So they would, so,
You know what?
and so
Wow.
they keep going. Then what I did was, oh, Satan wants to take it a little farther. So I start jumping. So what are you jumping on? Satan's rib cage.
Mm,
And they look at me. I said, and look at them. I'm like, now what you got? They back away.
mm,
But this was every day.
every day.
Oh, every day. You're not ever going to find a boyfriend. You're never going to get married. You're never going to do this. You're never going to, I mean, it was relentless.
You know what's interesting, Carla, is that you know, you and I both interview and know a lot of celebrities, and so many celebrities were bullied when they were younger. You know, it's that these kids will bully another child, and they will try to be like these movie stars or artists or whatever that they themselves were bullied. You know, it's just so ironic it is, and that's why it's good whenever when artists speak out. You know, and I know
And
it's a kind of
it's,
a
yeah,
brash reference, but look, the lead singer of Limp Bizkit got out of music for a while because he said, "Hey, I was bullied as a kid, and bullies are using my music to bully other kids." I mean, it really,
think about it.
took you back.
Think about it. Parents. Where did it, okay, so let's take it one for, where do you think the bullying come from? I can guarantee they get it from the parents.
Mm, wow.
So why is the parents bullying? See, because the parents probably was a bully in school too.
Right.
And all it is they want to make themselves seem important.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
now
You
you
know,
take it,
yeah. Yeah.
say it, now you take it to the church. Church is no different. You
Hmm.
walk into the church, you're supposed to feel like they're your brothers and sisters and this community and they're just as cold as ice. They don't know how to hug. They don't know how to respond. Then they're getting to their little cliques. You don't fit into this clique. You don't fit into that clique. Well, I didn't know that Jesus had a country club card.
Right. Unless they're trained properly, you know, there are churches that that the pastor has to be very deliberate, but I
Yeah.
actually know a couple, but they understand that we are here for each other and we're here to be the hands and the arms and the feet of Jesus. I know there's a lot of people who've been hurt
Yes.
before in
Well,
church.
see,
Yeah.
church hurt. But see, I'm gonna take it to one other level. About 8 years ago, I was in California, and I work in the restaurant industry, fine dining in an extremely upscale restaurant. So, and extremely liberals. We're in California, so don't get it mistaken.
Hmm.
I somehow my nose got deformed, and I mean deformed. I mean it blew up, and I'm like, oh Lord, what am I going to do? I have to go to work, and I'm like, oh, not again, not another battle. Let me tell you about this battle. So I went to work. My boss is Italian, and I said to him, I said, this is what it is. He goes, do you want to work? I said, yes, I have to. He goes, then you have a job. Let me tell you how the people there react. I had people that refused to allow me to wait on them.
Oh,
What is that
wow.
on your nose? Oh, good
Wow.
God. Oh, they made fun. They pointed, they laughed. I mean, oh my God, you should never come out of the house. What is wrong? I mean, it was like, it was horrible.
Hmm.
And I put up with that for 2 years. And one of my girlfriends said to me, I don't know how you just do what you do and don't care what they say or do. And I said, if I give in to them, then they win.
Wow.
And my little goddaughter, I would turn my head so she would kiss this side, so she wouldn't kiss this side, because that's where the nose had blew up at. And she would turn my face and kiss me on the side that had the nose problem. And she looks at me, she goes, Auntie Carla, God's going to heal it. And that's all
Oh,
she said.
oh,
And I love you. And she would always kiss me on the side that had the boo boo, as she would call it. It's a boo
oh,
boo. But
oh.
but see, that's when you raise your kids right. But it was I mean, I don't think people understood, going in that place and having customers get up and go to the other room or won't let me serve them. And that's what it was like. See, this is what I'm saying, but they think they were hurting me. Oh, honey. I said, you go to the other customer, you go to the other way because you ain't gonna get my service anyway. Chocolate bunny's in the house, not you.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's what I'm saying. Bullying just keeps going, regardless of your age.
You know, Jesus knew what it was like.
Yes, say it.
And I think about the lepers. If you were a
Say it.
leper
Whew.
in the first century, number one, you weren't allowed around other people. And secondly, they could try to kill you if you got around other people, but you
Yes,
had to scream unclean, unclean,
yes, yes.
way ahead of where you were going to be. And that Jesus not only healed the leper, but he touched the leper. And how many of us have been lepers on the inside, that Jesus touched? And
Love us.
uh, there's no one that he won't touch. And so I just want to salute you for this endeavor. I think it's wonderful, and a lot of people need encouragement. Um, a lot of people are not aware that the suicide rate among seniors is as high as it is.
I know.
Of all ages, young as 10. Oh, I've seen on the news not too long ago, young people that age killing themselves, hanging themselves because they were bullied. And it's not always a bullying parent. Some parents are horrified to find out, you know, how children behave, but how they can behave. That's why it's important, especially if you're a father, to teach your children to treat people as if they are valuable because they are, and to have the spirit of Jesus. I'm very proud of my children, and uh, they're the kind that will go sit beside a kid that no one else is sitting beside. You know, you never know uh,
See,
what that
and there
child
you
is
there,
going through.
and that's my point.
Mm,
That's my point exactly.
mm,
I remember I was in Simi Valley, California, and I was getting ready to go into Ross. Love Ross and Simi Valley. And there was a homeless lady outside. And I walked over, started talking to her, and she was so stunned. She goes, "Why are you talking to me?" I said, "Why not?" She goes, "Most people don't talk to me."
yeah.
Oh, well, that's stupid. And then I got ready to hug. She goes, "Don't hug me. I'm dirty." I said, "So am I. I can go home and wash my clothes. What's the problem?"
Mhm. That's
So I hugged
wonderful.
her. I walked into Ross.
Uh,
30 minutes later, come out. There are 7 to 8 people. And I'm like, "Girlfriend, what's going on?" They can't believe you hugged me, so they all want a hug. What?
mhm.
They want a hug.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there thinking to myself, these people saw me hug you, and now they want a hug.
Yeah.
So I said, "Come on, get it on." So I just started hugging all of them. And the guy said, "Aren't you afraid?" I said, "What am I to be afraid of? Dirt? Did we not come from dirt? It's just a mineral."
Yeah. From dust to dust.
And I'm like, this is where we have come to, where we are afraid to touch anyone.
Mhm.
And we need touch. We need
Yeah.
that human feeling. We need that love that goes deep
Mhm.
into us, and we can't give it. And we need to ask each other, why not? Why can't we support each other? Why can't we encourage each other? Because I'm different. When I left Germany, my German girlfriend said 2 things to me, but the one stood out. And I don't know if people remember me saying this. When I backpacked Europe,
Mhm.
the first thing I did was see my burns, see my burns. I wanted them to see my burns.
Mm.
And my German girlfriend, we don't care about your burns. That's an American thing. We want to know what your heart says.
Oh, wow. You needed to
Stunned
hear
me,
that.
stunned me. I'm sitting like, excuse me. We don't care about your burn scars. How's your heart? It beats.
That's what it's about. That's
I
what it's
didn't know
about.
what to say. No one has ever said that to me. The only thing I could say, it beats. And
Well,
when I got, yeah,
yeah,
when I got ready to leave Germany, she goes, "Why are you going where you tolerate it? Why don't you go where you celebrate it?"
there you go. Boy,
And
what won't that preach? Oh my gosh. Go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. There's some people who need to hear that. Uh, you know, um, Life is too short to waste, and you definitely don't want to cut it short.
no,
But
and no, no matter how low it got for me, and trust me, it got low.
Mm.
I never wanted to take my life. And and it wasn't because I thought I was better. It wasn't because of any of that. Because unlike most girls, I really didn't have the typical life like a boyfriend. What happened to me is as I got in junior high school, I had this little, he's going to hear this and crack up. I'm not going to tell you his name because he's probably listening. He'll end up listening. But it was my first sweetheart. You remember Valentine's?
Mhm.
And you have the Valentine cards you used to give them to the kids at the school, and they had the Valentine, whatever
Right.
you call it. Well, I never got any. So this was my first year in junior high, and I had one, and we went to go pick it up, and it was filled, and I was just in tears, like what? But it was all by one guy. I'm looking at
He
him,
loved you. He
I'm
was giving
looking
you a
at
whole
this,
lot of love.
I'm looking at him like, what is going on? And my girlfriend said, yeah, he took yours down. He didn't want anyone to give you any, so he pulled it up himself. Ah,
He wanted you for himself.
yes, he was so funny. And
Oh,
he had the blondest hair I've ever seen in my life. And he had these sky blue eyes. And he just, when he smiled, this boy lit up the room. And
oh
I'm
my
like,
goodness.
I'm like, okay, little hot
Okay.
tamale, get right there.
Uh-huh.
See what's going on up in here, you know? And I just thought, wow. And then you had the bullies come in and say, well, he's only doing that because he's short. I'm like, he's in seventh grade.
They were jealous. They were
Yeah.
jealous.
And see, and
Jealousy is an ugly thing, isn't it?
it is, and it will drive people
Yeah.
to hurt you.
Yep. It sure will. I know all about
And
that.
and so I can't talk about marriage, but you can. I can't see what I'm saying because when you get into a relationship where there's jealousy, that means there's some incompleteness someplace,
Mm-hmm.
and there's some manipulation and control someplace. Because you should never, love is never jealousy. Love doesn't deny.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you get that mixed up, then you want to control the person. And here I was just trying to understand who I was because, again, the same kids who made fun of me, you're going to be disformed. Now, the reason why they said this, you have to understand the burn scars is all over here. And I chose not to have the neck surgery, which means I'm limited in what I can do
Right.
because the burn scar is right here. It's right over that arm. And so when I asked the doctors, well, if you cut that, well, he said if it's a wrong decision, you could paralyze you. I'm like, no, 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 nope, 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 nope. I'm just fine the way I am. And so I just left it alone. And so what was on my face is now on my neck. And what was on my neck is on my chest. That I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
So, because as you grow as a kid, things shrink. And so when people think about that, and I tell them this, the 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 suicide rate for first time offenders, and I mean what I mean by that is this: when you are a burnt survivor and you are a girl, the first thing I could tell you is suicide 60% for the first time for girls.
Whoa.
Because, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Because they don't see any option of ever finding a husband or a
Oh,
boyfriend or anyone to love them. So they think they should just go ahead and kill themselves and get it over with. Let me ask you this. How many burnt survivors do you see on TV?
well, not that you know that they are, you know, because of technology, a lot of them can cover it,
Yes.
but you don't see a lot of burn survivors
And that's my
in roles or on TV. Yeah, yeah,
and
you don't.
so if you don't see yourself anywhere,
Ah,
what does that say?
Wow, wow.
What does that say to a kid? Well, I don't see myself because I'm nowhere. So evidently I must be hidden. They must don't like me. They don't care. You
Oh,
get
they'll
what I'm
fit
saying
in.
now?
Yeah. Wow.
And see, and me, I went totally crazy the other way. I'm saying, well, I'm gonna make you look at me then. so, so I left the church. I'm like, well, if this is how this is gonna play out, let me just put some war paint on my burns and sing half naked. That's what I did.
Hmm. And you do
I'm gonna
that in a
make
big
you.
way.
But
Yeah.
girls, see, girls have it difficult, and I want everyone to hear me because, see, when I lived in Connecticut, the police, the fire department, they thought I was joking.
Mm.
And let me tell you, we set it up. We went to a bar, and I was covered like I am now. And I had a guy talk to me on Monday. We met Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And the fire, they watched, said, now I'm going to come in with a low cut shirt and arms out so he could see the burns. Let me tell you what happened. The fire, my friends were from the fire, the police, and I think it was a couple of whatevers. They watched. This guy came in, was so happy to see me. He saw the burns. He got up and left.
Wow.
My friends tried to, they wanted to jump him. I'm like, no, I wanted you to understand this is what girls like me go through.
You know that's why it's so important that we become more aware and we look around. You know, we're so tied up into this that we need to look around and interact with each other. I know it's by design, you know, to isolate and to eliminate. That's what the enemy does, to isolate and eliminate. But I think it's just wonderful that you put out something so encouraging. And this is just the beginning. But the Hope
Yes,
Filled Mondays, you are reclaiming Mondays and putting something out that's going to encourage people. Yet another great, you know, I won't say subsidiary, but outreach of Red
yes,
Letter Awards. And I'm just excited to know that you're doing this and that people, when they subscribe or share it, you know, go to Hope Filled Mondays and share the memes, share any of the media,
yes.
and be ready to. You never know who's watching. You never know who's struggling, and you can't go by. Oh, well, they were so happy. Next,
Oh,
well, that's a warning sign, and we want to get into that next time. But
yes,
know the warning signs of someone that's thinking about suicide, and know how to minister to them. We also want to be able to talk about the church. There's going to be a phone line for you, uh,
yeah,
and the next time we do this. And so, Carla,
yes.
I'm just grateful for you, and I'm happy to know you, and I'm thank you for doing what you're doing for others. You know, what goes around comes around. You reap what you sow, good or bad, happy or sad, righteous or evil. Well, Carla, you're going to reap really great things. Even yet again, even with something new like this that's so needed. Hope-filled Mondays with Carla Jackson. Thank you, Carla.
Thank you, my brothers.